What's up guys, Phantom here, back with episode 17 of my F1 2019 career mode as we are going to Sochi for the Russian Grand Prix.
Welcome back to Sochi. We're about to be joining the action down in the pit lane as the cars get ready to embark on their qualifying runs. It always looked like the kind of track that asks an awful lot of the rear tyres, such as the frequency of low-speed exits.
No matter how good a driver is at managing their throttle application to limit rear slip, they can't always overcome a car that's inherently bad at looking after its rear tyres. Here we have a lot of low-speed corner exits, which means a whole load of energy, heat and tyre wear.
Even before we can get out to make our first run, we have a lubrication system fault for 5 minutes, so we'll have to wait as we finally get out at the end of Q1 here. As we are in P12, we made a pace setting lap to get used to the circuit. Get used to the fuel type as we come down here to the long front straight, as we come down to these two 90-degree right-handers to end the lap here, as we are going to be comfortably inside the top 15 to make it on to round 2, make it to Q2. As we start out here in Q2, as we go through these pretty bland 90-degree corners here to start the lap, as Russia's not exactly a fan favorite, especially for me. It's pretty bland, not really exciting to drive. As we come down to the end of the lap here, as we are going to actually set our best lap of the whole entire weekend, as it is good enough for P1 and Q2, as our teammate Grosjean actually has finally made it out of Q2 for the first time in probably 5 or 6 races. As we move on to Q3 here, as we lock up the right front, coming in, got a little bit too excited, as we make sure not to do that for this final corner, which is the most important corner, as it leads onto this long front straight, as this is technically turn 1, as we come down to these end of the lap right-handers, as we actually caught up to Hamilton a little bit, which has taken our nose off the car, as we're only able to muster position 9, as Leclerc and the Ferraris have taken the top 2 spots, as we move on to the race.
Welcome one and all to the Russian Grand Prix. We're just a stone's throw from the Georgian border here at Sochi as we get ready to begin the race that served up an absolute cracker back in 2015. A last lap collision between Kimi Raikkonen and Valtteri Bottas sparked controversy in that race, so let's hope the racing is just as tight today. Built on the shores of the Black Sea, the Sochi Autodrome is a 3.6-mile tour around some of the venues built for the 2014 Winter Olympic Games. Close barriers may make overtakes more challenging, but with 56% of the lap taken absolutely flat out, we certainly won't be wanting for pure speed. A fitting arena then to do battle at the pinnacle of motorsport. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and starting alongside in P2 is Sebastian Vettel. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Hamilton, Kimi Raikkonen and Perez, a Haas, Grosjean, Bottas and Lucas Faber, Ricciardo, Butler. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Lando Norris and Kvyat, Hülkenberg, Albon, George Russell and Antonio Giovinazzi. Kubica and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
As we sit here on the grid in P7 after Bottas's and Butler's penalties, as the lights are out and we get a pretty average start, but Perez gets a very bad start as we're able to pull alongside of him, and then as we go around the outside of them, as everybody it seems is going to go to the inside, which is going to allow the outside for us, as we outbrake ourselves and lock up on the curb there with the left front and almost lose it on the curb there, as we are in P5. Actually, we've gained positions as Perez tried to go around the outside but wasn't able to hold it around the long left-hander here. As we move to the end of lap 2, coming on the lap 3, as Perez is behind us and he's going to have his slipstream as down this long front stretch here. He's going to have plenty of time to catch up to us, as it's only lap 3. We're not going to go defensive but try to hold it around the outside, which we're able to do, as he's going to now have to try to go around the outside of this long left-hander. There's lots of long tracks here as we come into the pits, as that was really his only attack on us for the whole first stint, as we lock up trying to keep the car from going over that 37-mile-an-hour speed limit, which is really slow. As we pull into our pit stop here, as it's a 2.7, which isn't bad, as a couple of cars have already stopped in front of us, as we're going to re-enter back in P16, with Scholl ahead of us and Kvyat behind us, as we come to the end of lap 8 here, as we're going to have everybody come out, well, not everybody, but a lot of people come out, as Perez is going to come out ahead of us, actually, so we've lost time to him, as we're just going to have a lot, well, we did have more grip until halfway through that corner, and then we lost it all, as he's going to keep ahead of us, but he's going to have cold tires against our warm tires, as we've stopped a few laps ahead of him, as we need to get ahead of him soon because our tires are actually older. So we're going to make a big dive bomb here into the back straight here, as we're going to have to go around the outside, which we are, as our teammate Grosjean is coming into the pits at this time, as we pass everybody in the pit lane except for one person who has not pitted, as Perez with slipstream and DRS is going to come up right next to us here, as we're going to make him go to the outside here late in the race here. Want to conserve this 6 coming on to being 5th position, a net fifth position, as he's Perez is not able to go around the outside of the long left-hander in the first sector, as again on the last lap here, as he's a little bit farther away, but we're still going to try to keep him out of our slipstream here, as we're going to use Rich Mitch, the last of what we had, as he's made a look, but we have locked up on the last lap, which is going to make our run very bad, as he has a real chance to go around the outside, as we kind of lost the back end there. They're trying to keep around the outside, kind of lost track of where we were, as Vettel has won the Russian Grand Prix, as we cut the corner and then we get really loose, as we were able to hold on to 5th position.
You did really well. Super driving.
Ferrari have really pulled it out of the bag today. It's a great win. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection, a shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again. So let's review the updated driver standings. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
Well, Lance Stroll would be my pick. He managed to keep a cool head today whilst pushing through the field.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.